Welcome back to American Agenda. Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. Another institution falls to pressure from the left, University of Miami, officially dropping founder George E. Merrick's name from a building on campus, power washing away history and erasing the name of the man who built the college in the first place. The school said it's part of its plan to recognize those who overcame racism. With more on the latest details, correspondent Leonardo Feldman. Leonardo.
Take a look at this wokeness. On full display, university founder George Merrick's name literally erased from the campus garage. The school saying it's too powerful a reminder of the harm once brought by segregation. And ironically, the work done by a black man. And over here at the music school, another building, part of Henry Fillmore's legacy, his name to be wiped away as well. The school saying Fillmore's language was peppered with racism. And then there's this sad case of this anonymous student services center, also the target of wokeness, soon to take on the identity of a still unnamed African-American alum. It all seems to be meeting with the approval of many of the students I spoke with.
If it's something that's hurting other people's feelings, then they should rename it.
I do feel that we aren't listening enough to our African American community on campus, and they've made that clear the past year, so we're making the right changes.
I think it's important that this is being acknowledged, Henry Fillmore's past. I think it's important that we move forward from, what it was and to what it should be.
But even in a very liberal university setting, there are students who find the wokeness entirely objectionable.
I think there are more urgent issues to do with the school, rather than changing the name of certain buildings. And I honestly think that other students would think the same as I do.
It might be erasing history for the families that people are named after, but I don't think it's a huge deal. They're just buildings on campus.
Could be a little bit far, but that being said, I'm not the one to say that. And none of the names on campus really offend me in any way, or I don't find them offensive.
All right, let's bring in our panel for their reaction. Now, in full disclosure, I went to a place, University of Virginia. A lot of people felt that Thomas Jefferson believed in segregation since he had slaves. I mean, this is Melanie, this is the state of our history. History is full of imperfect people, and we keep trying to become a more perfect union, right? Whitewashing all these things that have happened along the way, I just have a gut feel this is negative in the long term.
I think it's negative in the long term because history is going to go ahead and repeat itself if we keep erasing it. That's what's going to happen. If we keep erasing it, we're going to start to forget about it. And as a matter of fact, I feel like we're kind of moving back toward Jim Crow with all the segregation that we're doing. Blacks want their own eating space at Harvard University. That's like segregation all over again. Do you remember? What are you doing?
That's happening now. And
this was a bad thing. This used to be a very bad thing. And I also really resent the implication that Black people's feelings are oh so delicate that we can't stand to see the names of somebody who may have had some racist tendencies back in the 1800s. We can't see their name on a building or we'll just melt down.
Right.
I resent that indication.
Yeah, and Heather, there was that college that had separate graduation ceremonies, right, for the people of color, and I forget what groups.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
So, that is segregation going in the other direction.
Right. Repeating history and not learning from the past. And that's why if you try to delete or cancel the past, you will be more prone to make those mistakes in the future. And I think we already see that happening.
Yeah, and how I feel like even if somebody on campus were able to say, well, Merrick Garland, he was a racist. He was? Yeah, let me tell you that story.
Not Merrick Garland.
Not Merrick Garland.
Not Merrick Garland.
Sorry, didn't mean the Attorney General did not mean to. What's his name?
Similar, very similar. Last name is Merrick, and one.
Merrick. Yeah. Okay, not Merrick Garland. He's not at all.
Let's be clear about
save
something.
me here, will you?
Yeah, let's be clear about something. These aren't students that are upset about this. These are outside groups.
Yes.
Change.org circulated this petition. It's a far left group funded by the typical suspects. And the board of trustees for the University of Miami are what the Marxists would call useful idiots. Because all this is a wider war, which is if they can take down names and take down buildings that are named after races from the 1930s, what does that say again, like you brought up earlier, about the founders who actually owned slaves? Well, they must be 10 times worse, which means our whole country needs to change, which is what they're talking about. They don't want the country to be like it is. They want a completely different they don't want a capitalistic system. They want a completely different system. And this is just part of that whole game. And so I don't know why donors at these colleges continue to give money to these groups, to these colleges. I don't understand it. They do it, and they'll keep doing it, I bet, at the University of Miami, because they don't get what's really happening, which is this is tearing down the country. This isn't about a name change at a building on the University of Miami.
Yeah, and Ted, just to complete my thought and not use the wrong name, if you can point to the name on the building, hey, do you know the background story of that? And the reason that they are such a prominent position at this university is they gave $5 million or $25 million, and that's why they were there. And this is how the system works. I mean, we need to learn these things and, again, become a more perfect union with imperfect people along the way.
Well, we're all imperfect people, but that's not the agenda, is just to erase names off of buildings. This is a very, very dangerous effort by the left to divide this country and destroy this country. And they're using race as the basis to destroy the country. And it's not just at higher ed schools. They're teaching critical race theory in public schools all across the country and ramming it down our kids' throats that if you are white, by definition, you are evil. And if you are black, then by definition, you have to be coddled and given special privileges in order to get through life. And that's destructive for both sides of the aisle on that issue. And it's not good for our country moving forward. And we, as the citizens, red, yellow, black, and white, we need to be pushing back against this dangerous effort by the left to destroy America.
Yeah, and making those changes, I have black friends that had said sometimes they're in a position and people question whether they deserve it because they assumed they were given an unfair. And I see you nodding your head, Melanie.
Absolutely. I'm an educator in my other life, and I find myself in situations where I might be the only black adjunct professor or educator, and I'm in STEM. And I find it to be a black cloud that follows me around, whether or not I'm there because I'm actually qualified or am I there because of affirmative action. And it's quite irritating.
Exactly. Okay, by the way, the name I was looking for is George Merrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the founders of the University of Miami, by the way.
Right.
So it wouldn't even exist if it weren't for him and some others. So.
Right. Again, imperfect people.
Right.
Okay. What if your restaurant or business was last in line for federal aid because of your race? What if you happen to be white? The woke tsunami continues. That's next when American Agenda returns.